What's up, YouTube? This is Justin Symbol from the God Bombs. I am excited to do my first ever album review of a new Kanye West album. Donda was just released. It is massive. It has over 24 songs. How many songs does it have? 27 songs. In true Kanye style, the unveiling of it was filled with controversy. It was larger than life. It was over the top. It felt more like a production or a grand event than just a music album. And of course, that's why we love Kanye. I'm not really your typical Kanye fan. I'm not really a hip hop head. I'm more of like an industrial rock guy. My favorite bands are like Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, Marilyn Manson, Skinny Puppy. So I've always been into beats and cool production, but not so much on the hip hop side of things. However, Kanye is one of my favorite artists in the world. He makes me feel emotions and feelings that I don't feel from any other artist when I listen to their music. I mean, I listen to his albums and I cry. I feel parts of myself and emotions that I have buried in my mind, and they come out to the surface when I hear Kanye's music. So I'm a huge, huge, huge fan, but I'm not your typical fan. Stylistically, this feels like the most focused thing that Kanye's done since Life of Pablo. It feels equally epic as Life of Pablo, and it feels like everything that's happened between Life of Pablo and Donda was sort of a rehearsal for what became Donda. It has that same kind of ethereal, weird, sort of slightly detuned, mystical kind of sound that they were exploring with the 7-song album Yay, or Kids See Ghosts with Kid Cudi. It has the gospel that he explored with Jesus is King. It has the all over the place experimentation and hip hop that we saw in Life of Pablo. And of course, it has a little bit of that industrial abrasive palette that we started seeing around the album Yeezus. So it really does combine kind of all of the different flavors of Kanye, but under this grandiose, minimalistic approach, which I love the album cover. I love that it's all black. That's why I had to wear my all black tank top here. I love that it just kind of makes you focus on the music, and the music really speaks for itself. That's also why I'm not wearing makeup in this review, because I wanted to, you know, kind of follow suit along with the theme of the album. Let's put the music first for once. So with that in mind, let's get into this track by track review. So the album starts with Donda, which is a chant of people saying Donda. It's artsy, it's Kanye. It definitely sets the tone of like, okay, this is an art project. It's not just an album. So that is accomplished, but you know, obviously, you know, who's gonna really listen to that chant after the first few times? The next song, Jail Part 1 with Jay-Z, it's almost like shoegaze guitars with really minimal production. I love the production of this song. It almost reminds me of Phil Collins, where it's like really minimal and then it kind of finally explodes at the end. And that's a pattern that's on a lot of this album, is that he really doesn't use a lot of beats. And my theory is that I think he's trying to make his music more minimalistic, and he's been doing that for a while now, probably since the album Yeezus, really. And I feel like the reason is because he wants it to sound really good when people are listening on their phones, so there's not a million things going on. And also, I think Kanye is really showing us that like you don't need a kick and a snare for a song to be a hip hop song. He's been showing us like you can rap over pretty much anything. And to me, that's like Kanye's biggest contribution to hip hop, is like he brought back this kind of artsiness and he took it to a whole other extreme, where it's like some of the fundamental things that we associate with hip hop, like that 808 kick snare and those big, you know, 808 hits. You don't even need them to make a great hip-hop song. So the production here is really innovative, I feel like, and maybe that's something that gets lost a lot in the sauce because of all the controversy and all the drama that always surrounds Kanye. We don't really ever talk about like just the musical production itself is fucking flawless on this album. I know that they've had a lot of tension, so it's interesting to see Jay-Z included here. His verse didn't really blow me away. He did a lot of references to the work he's done with Kanye in the past. He name dropped a bunch of Kanye songs, including a song that's one of my favorite songs, which is Hell of a Life, off of My Dark Twisted Fantasy. I love that song, but it's a little bit obscure, at least I would think it is. So it's kind of funny to hear him referencing all of these random song titles, and, you know, I don't know. It's kind of like his verse on Monster on Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's like he's just like, oh, okay, this song is about monsters, so I'm going to name drop a bunch of monsters and creepy ghouls and stuff. This one feels similar. It's like he doesn't know what to say, so he's just name dropping all these Kanye references. I much prefer the Jail Part 2 version with Marilyn Manson and DaBaby. I think is way better. The song God Breathed definitely showcases a more experimental side of Donda. We see that Kanye is not abandoning the industrial palette that he started with on albums like Yeezus. It's here to stay. He has these little weird industrial sounds and distorted vocals that kind of fire off in the mix. The song is kind of ambient sounding. It's very haunting. It's a really cool interlude. I do think it goes on a little bit too long, and I have heard other reviewers mention that, and I will agree there. Off the Grid is obviously a huge trap banger right off the bat. It immediately grabs you. It's a really cool minimalist production. I like the synth bass that he uses. It goes whoa, 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 whoa. He kind of like goes up and down. The production is very minimal, very clean. It feels very fresh, and the bars are fucking fire. Everybody sounds great on this song. It just knocks right away. Hurricane featuring The Weeknd is another highlight of the album. For those who pay attention to Ye, he actually released a hidden album called Yandhi in between the Ye album and the Jesus is King album. This album, Yandhi, was like a purposeful leak, but it was never officially promoted. From what I understand, now it's on Spotify under Kanye, so it is officially released. So this song, Hurricane, is from the Yandhi project. Yandhi is absolutely phenomenal. I highly recommend it to anybody that hasn't heard about Yandhi or doesn't know the existence of the Yandhi album. It's fire. And I'm glad that they took the song Hurricane and they updated it for this version on Donda. The Weeknd sounds amazing. It's ethereal, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous song, an instant classic. I'm sure this thing's gonna get a lot of radio play. Praise God is another trap banger, but this time I don't think the rapping really equals how awesome the beat is. Travis Scott leaves me feeling a little bit underwhelmed with his verse, and then Baby Keem, the bada-do-boom, bada-do-bee, bada-do-do. No, this one feels like the first little misstep on Donda. Not that it's a terrible song by any means, but it doesn't feel like it's that great as we've been hearing up until this point. Jonah, however, redeems us with an amazing, ethereal, haunting soundscape. It reminds me of the Ye album for sure. It kind of feels like since Kanye's been in Wyoming, he has this new sound palette that I've noticed that's like this weird, haunting kind of reversed stuff that's slightly detuned and gives this weird, eerie atmosphere. I feel like that's kind of his Wyoming atmosphere. And so I hear that with this song. I love the feature. Vory kills it. The vocal hook is phenomenal. And again, very minimal. And Okay Okay is another obvious banger. This is probably my favorite verse I've ever heard from Lil Yachty. That might not mean very much because I'm more of a rock fan, but I am somewhat familiar with his work, and I feel like he really shines on this. This is a great example of, I think Kanye really just brings out the best in people. I love how his albums are just a grand tour of like who's who in the hip hop scene at the time, and he's combining old artists, young artists, and on this song, it just all works in pure Kanye fashion. Junya is a fun, silly song. The organ is fun and playful, and I think this is the first time we really start to hint at like the fact that this album is going to go super gospel, and we're going to hear those Hammond organs, and you know, it's going to start to feel really organic and less of like this electronic hip hop soundscape. So I feel like this is where he's starting to introduce those warmer tones and kind of easing us into the gospel stuff here. I didn't like it as much at first, but the hook that Kanye sings, the playful hook, it gets stuck in my head and it made me want to listen to the song more. Believe What I Say starts out with this obvious Lauryn Hill sample that I feel like that Lauryn Hill album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, it already has so much connected to it with people. It's like such a specific album that it's weird to hear it being sampled. It almost makes it hard for me to focus on this new song that he's using it for. But once I let go of that baggage, I did feel like this was a cool song. It definitely has the 808s and heartbreak vibe. He's kind of taking us on the more dancey, poppy Kanye route. And it's fun. It's a cute song. It's more lighthearted. It does feel maybe a little out of place with the rest of this album. It sounds like it might have been from a different era and then kind of thrown in the mix here. 24 is the first time that Kanye really goes all in on this new gospel kind of sound that he really started exploring with the Jesus is King album. It's not gonna be one of my favorites because I'm not really into like the pure, full-on gospel stuff. But I will say that it showcases Kanye's amazing singing voice. His singing voice has improved so much from back in the day, like when 808s and Heartbreak came out and he was trying to sing and it was all like auto-tuned, and it felt like he needed that to rely on that auto-tune so much just to be able to get across his vocal melodies at that time. 24, it really shows you like, wow, he's come a long way just as a singer. Remote Control, another obvious trap banger. I think Young Thug did a great job on this. Don't feel like there's much about this song that really stands out that's worth saying, other than I do think it's another solid trap song. And I like the fact that Kanye is throwing us a lot of bones here. He's like, it feels like he knew he needed something high stakes. Like how he hadn't had this kind of a big high stakes hip hop record since Life of Pablo, and this is it. So he's throwing us a lot of these hip hop songs, a lot of features. This is another solid one here. Moon is gorgeous. It's an instant classic. Another Kanye, Kid Cudi classic. I was a huge fan of Kids See Ghosts. I love everything that Kanye and Kid Cudi do together. Moon is definitely no exception. And I want to say that it's one of their most beautiful melodies yet. And I just love everything these guys do together. I mean, I will listen to everything that they ever do together. Compared to other songs they've done together, this is like one of the most minimal and hauntingly beautiful so far. Heaven and Hell is super epic, grandiose, dramatic. I love it. It reminds me of songs like Blood on the Leaves off of Yeezus, or Facts off Life of Pablo. It has that epic feeling to it. Kanye, this is where he's really preaching to us, like, all right, here's the turning point, guys. Are you gonna accept Christ as your Lord and Savior or what here, man? And, you know, it's kind of funny because, again, that's not my whole deal, but, like, you know, that is his job. It's a gospel album at the end of the day, and I don't hate him for it. And, again, that's a huge victory because this is, I guarantee you, the only gospel album that I or many other people listening to this shit will be listening to, period. Because Kanye has made it cool to listen to gospel. And there's a great moment in Heaven and Hell where he starts doing the which is like, if you know Kanye, that's kind of like his version of the whole which like Michael Jackson used to do. So, you know, he's doing that on there, and it's a little cheesy, but you know what? He's allowed to be a little cheesy because it's fucking Kanye. And even when he's cheesy, I love it because it's so authentically him. And he just kind of brings you into his world, no apologies. The song Donda is beautiful, haunting, personal. I love the piano. I love how soulful it is. It's an example of a song where Kanye kind of strips back the curtain and shows his soul for us. And it's like really beautiful and tender, and it takes me places that, again, no other artist can take me. Really beautiful, and there's a really nice sample from his mom that plays in the song. And it kind of brings you back to like, okay, this is a really personal album at the core, and it's about, in some sense, it's about his relationship with his mother. Keep My Spirit Alive is another kind of gospel-y song. Big organs, and again, it feels like kind of a gospel interlude that's just reminding us like, yo, this is some Jesus shit. Are you down or what? Get with the fucking Jesus shit. Jesus Lord is an instant hip-hop masterpiece. Classic storytelling Kanye. I love the sample, Jesus Lord. It's so simple, so powerful, so beautiful. The J Electronica feature is also great. Everything about this song just soars. It's 6 minutes long. It doesn't feel like it. I love the sample at the end. New Again feels like something that could have been on Life of Pablo. It feels unfinished. It sounds like a demo. The beat is really, really simple. It has like this awkward kind of house beat that never really picks up anywhere. This one I feel like should have been scrapped from the album. It doesn't feel like it's on par with the rest of the material here. Cell Division kind of makes up for the last song. It's got some really dramatic piano chords that pull me in right away. It doesn't really ever take off, but I like the rapping on it and I like the vibe of it. It feels more dramatic and a little bit more sinister. Lord, I Need You is a very soulful hip hop song. Not my favorite. not the kind of vibes that really pull me in. And unlike other songs where, despite it not being my vibe, he kind of really sells it to the point where I'm like, all right, I like this. This one doesn't really take off. Pure Souls, again, feels very minimal. It feels like a beat that was on one of the songs from Life of Pablo, where he was rapping about the girls at Equinox. That song, I found the rapping more entertaining than I do here. This feels like another throwaway track, and towards the end of the album, it starts to feel like, all right, we get it, you know, like let's start to wrap this up here. So there's definitely one too many songs on this thing, but you know, with such a grandiose rollout, it's Kanye, you know. I don't hate it. I'm not mad at it. Like, I can always hit the skip button, and then maybe later on I might want to revisit some of these. Come to Life is gorgeous. It's emotional. It's dramatic. It's one of those songs that starts as a gospel song, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Not my thing, really. But it's a good example where he takes it so far, and he really commits to where I'm like, all right, I'm sold, and I love it. I love the gorgeous piano twinkling at the end. It all kind of just feels like this epic, emotional thing. It's that thing that Kanye does where, like, I'm sitting here crying, and I'm like a freaking metalhead goth kid, and I'm crying listening to fucking gospel music, and it's because of you, Kanye. You fucking did this to me, damn you. No Child Left Behind is a gorgeous organ meditation. At this point, we're in the zone. We're here with Kanye. We are in the gospel zone. And, you know, this song is just kind of, it's more of a vibe than a song, right? So I think it's kind of a cool closer, I guess, but it's not really a closer because now we have all these exciting part 2 versions of songs that we heard earlier, but this time with different alternate features on them. As far as these part 2 versions, I'm just going to review the first one, which is the most important in my opinion, Jail Part 2 featuring Marilyn Manson and DaBaby. I've already reviewed Jail Part 2 in a separate video, but I'm going to talk about it again here because the song has grown on me more. When I first heard it, I felt like Marilyn Manson wasn't loud enough in the mix. He was kind of an afterthought. I was wondering why he wasn't featured more. Now that I've kind of gotten over that whole baggage as a Marilyn Manson fan, and it's just sort of listening to the song as it is, it's a great, great, great song. I do like the minimal inclusion of Marilyn Manson. I think it really works. And I love DaBaby's verse. I think it's way better than Jay-Z's verse on this Jail Part 1. I think DaBaby really soars here, and I feel the emotions. And, you know, I saw this review from Anthony Fantano.
As annoying as it can be, I'm usually all for Kanye playing provocateur, but not when abuse victims and the LGBTQ community are collateral damage.
Can you be more dramatic? DaBaby did an amazing job on here. His verse is fire. Secondly, I mean, how much more does this guy need to do to atone for just some ignorant comments? Yes, they were homophobic. Yes, they were ignorant. Guess what? A lot of people aren't educated, don't come from the same background. They don't know better. So he's shown that he wants to rehabilitate his image. He's shown a willingness to meet with LGBTQ leaders. I mean, do you need him to like tattoo a rainbow on his fucking asshole before you're like, all right, he gets it. He's sorry. Let's move the fuck on. Like, seriously, is this even about justice anymore, or is it just about drama? Some people are saying he only included DaBaby and Marilyn Manson for a last-minute controversy. I can't say I disagree. I'm sure that Kanye has some kind of relationship with DaBaby and probably wanted to include him, but the inclusion of Marilyn Manson definitely feels like a last-minute decision by Kanye to generate controversy for the album. Kanye is the latest in a long line of celebrities or politicians to play the Marilyn Manson card. The Marilyn Manson card is kind of like the Joker card. It's like, you just want to throw some chaos in the mix, you play the Marilyn Manson card. If we just throw Marilyn Manson's face out there, everyone's going to freak out, and then we're going to like kind of distract everybody from what's really going on. So, you know, Kanye definitely did that with this song. He kind of just threw him in there for controversy, and I think it's cool. And I hope that people walk away maybe feeling differently about these two artists, because this doesn't sound anything like any Marilyn Manson song I've ever heard. So as Marilyn Manson famously said on his very first album, Portrait of an American Family, you cannot sedate all the things you hate. Kanye's back with a great album. I will give Donda a B+. I think it will continue to grow on me. I think it has some of Kanye's most gorgeous production, some of his most emotionally impactful work so far. It's more of a concise message and a clear distillation of his transition from hip-hop, rapper, to this kind of new age gospel artist. He's pulling people with him on this journey, and I think that's one of the hardest things to do as an artist when you're sort of transitioning into your sound and style and trying to mature. If you're able to bring people with you, young and old, into your evolution, then to me you've succeeded beyond what most artists can ever achieve. This album feels so relevant right now in a time where there's so much turmoil and confusion and chaos in the world. Everybody feels lost. There's a lack of spirituality. There's environmental disasters. There's a pandemic. There's political upheaval. There is any kind of chaos imaginable happening right now. And this album seems like sort of a beacon of light amidst all of this darkness and confusion. So thank you, Kanye, for blessing us with another masterpiece. Thanks to anyone that actually watched this whole video. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications on our channel. There's a lot more reviews coming. Also, the band is on tour, and I'm gonna post some of that information in the description. So please check us out, check out the God Bombs, and we'll keep the reviews coming. Thanks for tuning in. Bombs away.